Hey mama, so happy that you have decided to join me today. How often do you find yourself struggling financially? Have you ever wondered why? Why you feel like you're struggling financially when technically all of your bills are covered, you're able to feed your family, and all of your other needs, they're met, they're taken care of. Well, that, my friend, is what today's episode is all about. God has shared with me a truth behind the real reason we are struggling financially, and I am ready to share that with you, to get down into the ugly parts of our brains and reveal the ugly truth behind financial struggle on one income. So go grab yourself a latte and get ready to feel all the feels, as I know God is going to do some work in you as He has been doing this in me. So let's get to it. Do you find it hard to save or get out of debt? Are you constantly searching for ways to save money and live on a budget? Do you have big dreams only to be stopped by not sticking to your budget? Are you ready for financial freedom? Then you, mama, are in the right place. Welcome to the One Income Family Podcast, where you will learn what it looks like to budget on one income, how to partner with God in your finances, how to budget in a way that's easy to stick to, and how to cut costs and save money, all so that you can start building wealth. It is my mission to equip you with these tools so that you can live in abundance regardless of the amount in your account. Hey, I'm Molly, a budget coach for stay-at-home moms, and I know what it's like to struggle on one income. I've lived paycheck to paycheck, relied on being frugal, and failed many budgets until I learned how to budget without tracking. This has allowed my family to pay off debt and build wealth all on one income. So, if you are ready for financial freedom, then go grab that stroller, plug in those headphones, and let's get to it. Hey mama, before we jump into today's episode, I would like to ask, if you haven't already, if you would go and leave a written review for the podcast. By leaving a review, you are helping other mamas who need to hear this message, because it tells the algorithm that this podcast is important, and so it shares it with more people. Not only that, but it's the only way that I know that you're enjoying the show, and that gets me excited and keeps me motivated to do what I do. I love doing this show, and I love hearing from you, and all it takes is 30 seconds. All you have to do is go into Apple Podcasts, click on the show, not on the episode, and scroll down to the bottom, right above the About section. It says Write a Review in purple. Click it and leave your rating and review, and you're done. That's all it is. You never know, you might find your review read on the show, because I like to do that sometimes. So again, if you would please go leave a rating and review so that this show can get out to more mamas in need, I would greatly appreciate that. Alrighty, so this is a question that I have been struggling with and pondering ever since we became a one-income family, right? Because I made sure there was no way I was going to leave my job to become a one-income family if we weren't able to cover our bills, if we weren't able to buy groceries and take care of gas and everything that comes with it. Like, even when we moved houses and my husband had to drive more than 2 minutes to get to work, I made sure that everything was going to be taken care of before we decided to make the leap, right? So why, when everything is technically financially taken care of, am I struggling? Why? What is going on here? This is something that my husband struggles with as well. Like, even to this day, he still struggles with it because he's the spender. I struggle less with it because I'm the saver, and I'm okay with not spending money, but he likes to go out and spend money. So we keep getting into arguments over money, and finally one day God just revealed to me the answer, which in a way has definitely been revealed to me, but not in this way, not in a way that actually made sense as to why we feel like we're just struggling and that we can't get any further. And even if we do bring in more income, because that has been our journey, we have slowly through different jobs gotten more and more income each and every time. And so yes, we have leftover income now with this job that he has, and yet we still feel like we are struggling. And so What is the answer to this age-old question? What is it that is causing us to feel this way? Well, what God has revealed to me, and be ready to get your feathers ruffled because that is exactly what it did to me. Like, I got heated real fast and had to talk to my dad because my husband was working, right? And I just ranted to him. But anyways, what I was revealed was the reason we feel like we are struggling financially is because of this one small statement, this hard hitting truth that rears its head. And I know I'm kind of just going off about what it is, but it makes me a little nervous to say it, right? Because it made so much emotion come up in me that I know it's going to cause the same thing for you. So be ready. But the reason you are struggling financially, even if you're able to cover everything, is because you can't buy what you want right now. You can't buy it when you want it. Quickly snap your fingers, get what you want. It's kind of like, and I said this to my husband and he got real upset about it, but I see this all the time in my children, right? When they don't get what they want, they throw a tantrum. And that's what we do. We get so upset about not being able to buy the things that we want to buy that we throw a tantrum. Now, maybe it might not look like a little kid, flailing their arms in the air, screaming at the top of their lungs, but you still get upset about it, and it makes you upset and sad, and all these other angry emotions come out because you can't get what you want when you want it. And that is such a hard thing. It's a hard pill to swallow, right? It's something that we have to deal with as humans. That is just human nature. We are not able to get what we want all the time whenever we want it. And financially, we feel like as we get older and as we grow up, we should be able to do what we want because we're now grown-ups and there's nobody above us telling us what to do and what not to do. But we still have things that are keeping us from doing things that we want to do, and that is having a budget. And it's not necessarily the budget itself, but having a set income. What you have is what you have, and you have to make the most of what you have, right? Man, how many times did I just say have there? But you get what I'm saying. You don't get more income, and even if you do make more income, it can still feel like a struggle because maybe you do give in to those things that you want, and then it just makes your income, wiggle room that you have, even lower. And it can make your budget feel extremely tight when you give into that temptation, right? When you say, okay, I'm going to do this, and actually put yourself into a financial situation. And that's what God opened my eyes to. And like I said, when I realized this, man, did I get heated. So trust me, it's normal if that's what you're going through right now, or maybe you're in denial, or maybe you're just yeah, no, she's silly. I don't even agree with this. I'm going to shut this podcast off. Totally get you, totally understand, because this is something that will boil your blood a little bit. But so what do I do about it? What do I do about this feeling? How can I stop this feeling? Well, you're never going to stop it, right? But you can learn to be content, right? But before I dive into that, I want to cover something. So there are two ways that we can go when we feel this way. We either become the person who doesn't care and goes out and buys it anyways, right? And that's my husband. He loves to go out because that's the spender of our family, right? He likes to spend things. So he goes out and he spends it and he spends it and he spends it. Thankfully, we have boundaries in place, so we don't have to worry about him spending our bills money or our money to eat food and all that kind of stuff. But he likes to spend the money, and that's what happens. But since we have those boundaries in place, it's okay, right? It's okay to spend money if you have that boundary in place. But if you don't have those boundaries in place, you're going to go out and you're going to buy the things anyways, and you're going to put it on credit, and you're going to put it put yourself into a true financial situation that is a true struggle. And I don't mean necessarily just credit cards, because you can buy your phone on credit, right? You can go out, instead of just buying your phone right out, you get those plans that you have to stay in the contract for. It used to be 2 years. Now it's like 3 years or something like that. And then you have to stay in that contract until that phone's paid off, or you can enter another contract and just keep going from there, right? Or you can buy the phone outright and have a lower monthly payment for your phone bill, right? So there are other ways that you can still do things on credit that's not necessarily just a credit card. It's just you deciding to buy something based on a monthly payment instead of the full out price, and holding your patience, saving up for it, and buying the thing without having to use credit. And then when you do put it on credit, that's when you do, like if you use a credit card, you get into credit card debt. If you buy the phones, maybe your phone payment goes up to where you can't afford it. Maybe you had a limit of like $200 a month, and now because of inflation and everything else going on up, maybe it's went up to like $250. I don't know. I don't really think that's a real thing if it's went up that high, but you get what I'm saying? Like things can jump in price, and then interest becomes a thing too, because you can't borrow money without having to pay for it, right? There has to be a give and take in there. And that is why I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not going to pay for somebody's money. Like that just seems silly to me. But that is what ends up happening when you feel like you're in a struggle, like a financial struggle. You just either give into it right away, or maybe you're the other person like me, where you just sit back and you kind of sulk and you complain and you just get upset about how bad, which I just put air quotes around bad, your financial situation is, because it's not bad. Your bills are being taken care of. Your house is there. Your food is there. Your car is there. Everything that is a necessity is being taken care of. But it's those things that we want that we can't have right now that cause us to just flip out and get upset, and either be the one who goes out and buys it anyways and makes yourself into an actual financial struggle, or you're the person that sits back and sulks and complains and gets upset and says, well, we don't have the money, so I'm just going to save every single penny that I have and I'm not going to spend anything. Like, we just go to the extremes both ways, right? And I know how hard this can be, because when you go from two incomes, especially this is difficult for the one bringing in the income, because we go from a family who had two incomes coming in. Well, let me actually take a step back. You enter the workforce, you make money, you get to choose what you want to do with the money, when you want to do it, like whenever, right? You didn't really have a whole bunch of bills to worry about, so you got to do whatever you wanted, spend it willy-nilly, be crazy if you wanted to. Then you get married, and your money gets combined, and then you buy a house, and then you buy cars together, and your money that you got to do fun stuff with has now went from like all of it to like maybe a quarter of it, if that, right? And you're like, oh my gosh, I want to keep this freedom. I want to feel like I can go out and I can spend money however I want to. I want to be able to do what I want to do when I want to do it. But with all this stuff that you have to use that money for, that amount of money that you get to do what you want with lowers. And that's a normal process in life. Then take it a step further, and you are now not working. Your husband's the one working. He's used to doing what he wants with his money. It maybe went down a little bit as you two both had income coming in when you were both in the workforce. But then you go down to where you are not working and you're only on his income. And this is where he feels like he should be able to do what he wants with his money. because of how we've been trained. We have been trained to do what we want whenever we want, and that freedom that we get of becoming an adult, of deciding what we want to do with our money and getting to do all this fun stuff has now went from maybe a quarter of your income to maybe an eighth of it when you're on one income, right? And it maybe even less than that. And that gets so stressful. That is when you start feeling like you are struggling financially when you're technically not. Everything is taken care of. You're able to do everything, but your mind is so focused on the fact that I can't do what I want when I want, and I can't do it right now, that you are not able to see past that. You've got like these glasses on. I don't want to say rose-colored, like that's when you say everything's good, right? But pick whatever color you want. But you've got glasses on that keep you from being able to see past the point of what you want. And that is hard to get out of. So what can you do? I've kind of already talked on this, but what you can do to fight this feeling is to work on strengthening your contentment muscle. And this is not something that's going to change with a flip of the that did not want to come out. With a flip of the switch. It's not going to be something that you can just turn on and be able to change. It is going to take time. You have to focus on the things that you do have. You need to, let's see, I was reading something yesterday and I wish I had the whole thing. But what I got out of it was essentially that you can't live in abundance. And that's what we want. We want a life of abundance, of freedom, of being able to do what we want whenever we want to be able to do that. But contentment is your answer to a joyful life. It's not going to be the life where you can just willy-nilly do whatever you want whenever you want, right? You're not going to get everything right now. We've been talking about that for the past, 17 minutes now. But you can have joy. You can have peace. You can have abundance. But not if you have a heart of dissatisfaction. If you are focused on how badly your life is and how less money, that's not the right way to say that, but the small amount of money that you have, the tight budget, and you have a heart of dissatisfaction, then your heart is going to be, like I said, with those glasses on, you're going to only see the pain and you're not going to see the joy, and you're going to miss out on so much. You're going to not be able to live in joy or peace or have the abundance that God wants us to have. You will never have enough. You will never be satisfied with a dissatisfied heart. And contentment gives you satisfaction. It allows you to be joyful and happy with the things that you have. Now, that does not mean that you can't go out and buy something new. That doesn't mean that if you don't like the color in your house, you can't paint the color, right? Or paint the walls. But it means that you can't just sit and sulk like I was doing and get through it to the other side. Like it's not going to happen. You're going to live in dissatisfaction. But you don't want that. That's not what I want for you. That's not what God wants for you. He wants you to have His joy, to have His peace, to have His abundance, and all of the other fruits of the Spirit. And that comes with learning how to be content with the things that you have, which is, I used to think that content was like a bad word. That's what it made me feel like. It made me feel like I had to be okay with what I had. Like I didn't have a choice and I just had to, they'd shove whatever I needed in my face and they're like, well, you better be happy with it. But it's not. It's a matter of satisfaction. It's a matter of having a joyful heart over the situation, saying, yeah, I would like something different, but I am still super grateful and happy that what I have is still meeting my needs. For instance, the couch that we had. I did not like it, but it was a $50 couch. It was in our price range. It was given to us by a friend. It was dirty and flea-ridden, and I had to deal with all of that stuff. But it was still something to sit on. It was something to fill my house with, and it met my needs in the moment. Now we have something different that was, again, given to us, and I am grateful for that because God has fulfilled my needs, and so I am satisfied with it. I am joyful. I am grateful. That is what contentment, true contentment means. It's not a fact that, yeah, you don't have to love the thing, but it meets your needs and it keeps you in a joyful state, right? It keeps you I'm not really sure where I'm trying to go with this, but my point is that contentment and satisfaction and joy and grateful, like a grateful heart, is going to trump all of the negative feelings that you have. Like, you cannot be sad and upset and happy at the same time. It is not possible. Like, there are scientific facts around that. And so I challenge you, like, that is why people say when you're upset, put a smile on your face. Even if you don't feel happy, putting an actual smile on your face, it's going to make you feel happy because you're doing the action that takes you to feel happy. Like, that's not coming out right, but you get what I'm trying to say, right? So that is what I want you to work on. Like, work on trying to be content. And I don't have all the answers for that because I am still working on that myself. But there is somebody who has the answers for that, and that's God. So go to the scripture, look up ways to be content, look up how you can lead with a grateful heart, with gratitude and joy and peace, and just really embrace the abundance that God has for us instead of mulling over this dissatisfaction of feeling like you're struggling financially because you can't buy what you want right now. And that's the truth. Like, that is never going to change. We are in a place where we're not going to get what we want all the time. Like, that is the hard truth of being an adult. That's what we have to tell our children all the time. But as a child, we still want that. And we don't understand that we're never going to be able to get what we want when we want, right? But that's something that I am learning, and I just really felt like God wanted me to share that with you because I wasn't sure if my heart was ready to share this message with you. I was looking at different topics to maybe give you a different episode this week, but God just really kept turning me back towards this. And you should see my outlines. Normally I have a really good outline written up on Google Doc, and that's not the case this time. I literally have a few things written down on a piece of paper, and I've just been letting the Lord guide this conversation because I know that He is the one that wants this message to be shared to you. It's something that I am still working on, that I struggle with, and I want you to know that that's okay. That opening your eyes to this is the first step to making a change, to being able to take the next step so that you can live in abundance. Now, I don't want you to take this episode and send it to your husband and say, look, see, this is what's going on. You need to change your attitude right now. Trust me, I wanted to do that with my husband once I realized that. But that's not going to do anything but cause a fight and make things more difficult for you. But instead, show your own contentment. Show how you are doing it. Do ways of actions instead of words, and you're going to get so much further with him. And you can just start guiding him toward a content life, toward a grateful and joyful life, instead of just pounding him on the top of the head with it and expecting him to get it right then and there, right? Because the Lord reveals things to people at different times. No matter how quickly you want somebody to get something, they're not going to get it until they are ready. So I wanted to make a disclaimer on that so that you didn't throw this in your husband's face, right? But I really pray that you take this message and you take it to God and you talk to Him to ask Him to open your heart to what it is that you personally are struggling with. And I also want you to know that if you ever want to talk to somebody, you can email me or come over to the community and shoot me a message, and we can talk about your struggles, because you are not alone, because I am right there with you going through the thick of it. And I know how isolated we can get because we don't want to share these struggles with other people. But knowing that you're not alone is like a stress relief of itself, right? So definitely come over to the free Facebook group and let's talk, let's connect and really get through this together, right? Or if you're not on Facebook, shoot me an email and again, let's talk and get to know each other. But with that being said, I am going to stop here because I could probably just keep continuing on this, but I just feel like a broken record. So I am going to leave it here with you and with God and just allow Him to continue to speak to you through this message. So with that being said, I will see you right back here next week on another episode of the One Income Family Podcast. Before you go, I hope this episode has ignited a fire inside of you, and I pray that it creates long-lasting impact. Did you know that you too can impact other one-income families? All you have to do is leave a written review, and you help get the podcast in the hands of other mamas in need. You can also text this episode to that friend who is also knee-deep in the same kind of chaos as you and inspire them to make a change. Also, your review lets me know that you're enjoying the show, and that lights me up. I get so excited to hear from you. Another great way that we can connect, though, is through the One Income Family community over on Facebook. So after you're done leaving that 5-star review, head on over to the community where you will find other mamas working their way out of the chaos. You can ask your questions and connect with others who truly understand what you are going through. I cannot wait to connect with you in the community. Until then, I will see you right here next week on another episode of the One Income Family Podcast.